In a world filled with noise and chaos, I stumbled upon a hidden gem, a charming cabin perched by a serene lake. The moment I laid eyes on it, I felt a wave of calm wash over me. The tall trees stood like guardians, and the water shimmered under the sun, inviting me to take a break from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. It became my sanctuary, a place where I could unwind, breathe fresh air, and connect with nature. Every weekend, I would escape to this little paradise. I loved fishing off the wooden dock, listening to the gentle lapping of the water against the shore. I spent countless hours exploring the nearby trails, watching birds flit between branches and admiring the vibrant wildflowers that bloomed in the spring. This cabin was more than just a structure. It was a refuge where I could escape the pressures of work and city life. I cherished every moment, feeling grateful for this little slice of paradise. The first police visit. One bright Saturday morning, as I savored my coffee on the porch, I noticed a police car rolling down the gravel road toward my cabin. My heart skipped a beat. Had something happened? The officer stepped out, looking serious yet friendly. He approached me, clipboard in hand, and introduced himself. "Sir, we've received reports about suspicious activity here," he said, glancing around as if expecting to find something alarming. I couldn't help but laugh nervously. "Suspicious activity? I'm just enjoying a weekend getaway," I explained, gesturing to the peaceful surroundings. To my surprise, the officer revealed that the local Homeowners Association, HOA, had called them. They thought I didn't belong there and were keeping an eye on my activities. I was baffled. I owned the cabin outright. The officer took my information and left, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Who were these people who felt they could dictate how I enjoyed my property? A pattern of harassment. As the weeks rolled by, the police returned 4 more times. Each visit became more absurd than the last. One officer asked if I had a permit for my hammock, while another seemed puzzled by my BBQ grill, questioning if it met some obscure safety regulations. It felt like I was living in a sitcom where common sense was thrown out the window. Each time I explained that I was not a member of the HOA and that I had every right to enjoy my property. But the HOA's grip tightened. They sent me letters filled with legal jargon, threatening fines and legal action if I didn't comply with their rules. I could hardly believe what I was reading. It felt like I was being bullied by a powerful organization that thrived on control and conformity. I started to feel like a prisoner in my own home. Instead of enjoying my weekends, I was plagued by anxiety about the next police visit or the next threatening letter from the HOA. Friends and family encouraged me to fight back, but I felt overwhelmed. How could I stand up to an organization that seemed so powerful? Feeling the fire within, after the 5th visit from the police, frustration turned to determination. I realized I couldn't let this go on. I decided to fight back. I sought advice from a lawyer who specialized in property rights. "You have a strong case," he assured me, his eyes lighting up with a spark of determination. "Let's show them you won't back down." We began gathering evidence, photographs of my cabin, records of the police visits, and the HOA's letters. I even took notes during each police visit, documenting what they said and how I felt. Each piece of evidence was a step toward reclaiming my rights and my peace. I also started talking to my neighbors, hoping to find support. To my surprise, several of them shared similar stories about the HOA's overreach. It seemed I wasn't alone in my frustration. Many residents felt trapped by the stringent rules and regulations set by the HOA. We began to form a loose alliance, sharing information and ideas about how to approach the situation. The day of reckoning. On the day of the court hearing, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. I walked into the courtroom, my heart racing. The HOA representatives sat at the front, their smug expressions fading when they saw my resolve. I could feel the tension in the air as I took my seat, surrounded by supportive friends and neighbors. My lawyer began laying out the case. "This man is not a member of your association," he stated firmly. "He has every right to enjoy his property without harassment." The HOA's lawyer tried to twist the facts, claiming I was a nuisance to the community. But I could see the judge's brow furrowing as he listened. The judge was a no-nonsense type, and I could tell he was getting impatient with the HOA's attempts to paint me as the villain. As I sat there, I felt a surge of confidence. I knew I had the truth on my side. Then it was my turn to speak. I stood up, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze on me. I shared my story, explaining how the HOA's actions had disrupted my peaceful life. I painted a picture of my cabin, my sanctuary, and the unwarranted harassment I faced. I spoke from the heart, hoping the judge would understand my passion for my home. The moment of truth. After what felt like an eternity, the judge returned with his decision. My heart pounded as he declared, "The HOA has no authority over this property." I was in shock. I had won! The courtroom erupted in applause, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. The judge ordered the HOA to pay my legal fees and issue a formal apology. It was a victory not just for me, but for anyone who had ever felt bullied or powerless against authority. I had stood my ground and it had paid off. The feeling of triumph was indescribable. It was as if a heavy weight had been lifted from my shoulders. Returning to my cabin. With the battle behind me, I returned to my cabin, feeling a mix of triumph and gratitude. I had fought for my right to enjoy my property, and I had won. Sitting on the porch, I took a deep breath, soaking in the beauty of the lake and the trees. I realized that the experience had changed me. I was no longer just a cabin owner. I was a warrior for my rights. I had learned that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, even against powerful forces. The cabin was a symbol of my resilience, a reminder that I could overcome challenges. Embracing freedom. Now, every time I visit my cabin, I feel a sense of freedom and empowerment. I can relax and enjoy the life I've built without fear of harassment. The HOA's lessons linger in the air, a reminder that you can't push people around without facing consequences. As I sit on my porch, sipping coffee and watching the sun set over the lake, I am grateful for my cabin. It is no longer just a getaway. It is a testament to resilience, a symbol of my struggle and victory. Each day spent there is a reminder to cherish my freedom, my peace, and the beauty of nature. I also took the time to connect with my neighbors and share my story. Many of them were inspired by my victory and began to speak out against the HOA's unreasonable rules. Together, we formed a small community group to advocate for our rights. We met regularly, discussing how to create a more respectful and inclusive environment for everyone. Building a community. As the months went by, our small group grew. We organized community events and gatherings, encouraging everyone to get to know their neighbors. We shared our stories, our struggles, and our triumphs. It was empowering to see how many people felt the same way I did. We decided to approach the HOA with a list of reasonable changes we wanted to see, advocating for a more transparent and fair process. We gathered signatures and presented our proposal with a united front. The HOA was taken aback by our collective strength. They realized they could no longer operate in secrecy and fear. Eventually, some members of the HOA began to listen. They saw that their strict rules were causing more harm than good. We worked together to create a new set of guidelines that respected everyone's rights while still maintaining the community's integrity. It was a long and challenging process, but it was worth it. A new beginning. With the HOA's policies changing, I felt a renewed sense of hope for my community. I had not only fought for my rights, but had also inspired others to stand up for theirs. My cabin, once a place of conflict, was now a hub for community gatherings and celebrations. As I reflect on my journey, I realize that standing up for what is right can lead to incredible victories. Not just for oneself, but for the whole community. My cabin will always be my sanctuary, a place where I can breathe freely and embrace the beauty of life. In the end, I learned that the fight for freedom and justice is ongoing, but when we come together, we can make a difference. My experience taught me that resilience, courage, and community can overcome even the toughest challenges. And as I gaze out over the lake, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for my cabin, for my neighbors, and for the beautiful journey we all share.
In the midst of a chaotic world filled with noise and distractions, I discovered a charming cabin nestled by a peaceful lake, far from the stresses of urban life. The moment I laid eyes on it, I felt an overwhelming sense of calm wash over me. The tall pines stood like sentinels, their branches swaying gently in the breeze, while the lake shimmered like 1,000 jewels under the sun. This cabin would become my sanctuary, a place where I could escape from the clamor of everyday life and immerse myself in nature. Every weekend, I eagerly anticipated my time at the cabin. I would pack my bags with fishing gear, books, and snacks, excitedly driving down the winding roads that led to my little piece of paradise. Once I arrived, I would spend hours fishing off the dock, feeling the gentle pull of the water as I cast my line. I relished hiking along the nearby trails, discovering hidden spots where wildflowers bloomed in vibrant colors and birds sang sweet melodies. The cabin was more than just a building. It was a haven where I could recharge and reconnect with myself. The unexpected visits. One fateful Saturday morning, as I sipped my coffee on the porch, I noticed a police car slowly approaching my cabin. My heart skipped a beat, a surge of anxiety coursing through me. What could they want? The officer stepped out, looking both serious and curious. He walked toward me with a clipboard in hand. "Good morning, sir. We've received reports of suspicious activity at this property," he said, surveying the area as if expecting to find something sinister. My mind raced, trying to comprehend what was happening. "Suspicious activity. I'm just here to enjoy my weekend," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. The officer explained that the local Homeowners Association, HOA, had called them, believing I didn't belong there. I was shocked. I had purchased this cabin legally, went through all the proper channels, and had every right to enjoy my property. After taking my information, the officer left, but an unsettling feeling lingered. Who were these people trying to dictate how I could enjoy my own home? A series of harassment. Over the next few weeks, the police returned 4 more times, each visit more absurd than the last. One officer questioned whether I had a permit for my fishing gear, while another wanted to know if my outdoor lighting met some obscure regulations. I felt like I was living in a bizarre comedy where common sense didn't exist. Every time I tried to explain my situation, reiterating that I was not a member of the HOA and had every right to enjoy my property. But the HOA's harassment escalated. They sent me letters filled with complex legal jargon, threatening fines and legal action if I didn't adhere to their strict rules. Each letter felt like another dagger in my heart, and the pressure mounted. I felt suffocated by their demands and regulations. Instead of relishing my weekends, I was consumed by anxiety, dreading the next police visit or the next threatening letter. My friends and family urged me to fight back, but I felt overwhelmed. How could I stand up to an organization that seemed so powerful and unyielding? Igniting the fire within. After the 5th police visit, I decided enough was enough. I needed to take action. I sought advice from a lawyer who specialized in property rights. "You have a compelling case," he assured me, his eyes lighting up with determination. "Let's show them that you won't be intimidated." We began gathering evidence, photographs of my cabin, records of the police visits, and copies of the HOA's letters. I meticulously documented each encounter, noting what was said and how I felt. Each piece of evidence became a stepping stone toward reclaiming my rights and my peace of mind. I also reached out to my neighbors, hoping to find allies in my fight against the HOA. To my surprise, several of them shared similar stories about their own experiences with the HOA's overreach. It seemed I wasn't alone in my frustration. Many residents felt trapped by the HOA's strict rules and regulations. Together we began to form a support network, sharing our experiences and discussing strategies on how to combat the HOA's intimidation. The courtroom encounter. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I felt a whirlwind of emotions, nervousness, excitement, and determination. As I walked into the courtroom, my heart raced. The HOA representatives were seated at the front, their confident expressions faltering when they noticed my determination. The atmosphere was thick with tension as I took my place, surrounded by supportive friends and neighbors. My lawyer began presenting our case. "This man is not a member of your association," he stated firmly. "He has every right to enjoy his property without harassment." The HOA's lawyer attempted to twist the truth, claiming I was a disruptive presence in the community. I could see the judge's brow furrowing as he listened, clearly unimpressed by their arguments. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze on me. I shared my story detailing how the HOA's actions had disrupted my peaceful life. I described my cabin as my sanctuary and the unwarranted harassment I faced. I spoke passionately, hoping the judge would grasp my deep emotional connection to my home. The moment of judgment. After what felt like an eternity of deliberation, the judge returned with his decision. My heart raced as he declared, "The HOA has no authority over this property." I couldn't believe it. I had won. The courtroom erupted in applause and a wave of relief washed over me. The judge ordered the HOA to pay my legal fees and issue a formal apology. It was a victory not just for me, but for everyone who had ever felt bullied or powerless against authority. I had stood my ground and it had paid off. The feeling of triumph was indescribable. It was as though a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders. Returning to my cabin. With the battle behind me, I returned to my cabin, feeling a mix of triumph and gratitude. I had fought for my right to enjoy my property, and I had emerged victorious. Sitting on the porch, I took a deep breath, soaking in the beauty of the lake and the trees surrounding me. The air was crisp, and the sounds of nature filled my ears. The experience transformed me. I was no longer just a cabin owner. I had become an advocate for my rights. I realized that sometimes standing up for yourself is necessary, even against powerful forces. My cabin had turned into a symbol of my perseverance, a reminder that I could overcome challenges. Building a community network. Inspired by my victory, I started to connect with my neighbors more. Many of them had experienced similar issues with the HOA, and together we formed a community group focused on advocating for our rights. We held regular meetings, sharing stories and strategies for making our voices heard. It was empowering to see so many people come together. Together we organized community events, fostering a sense of camaraderie among residents. Through potlucks, barbecues, and outdoor movie nights, we built relationships that transcended our initial frustrations with the HOA. One evening, we organized a community picnic by the lake. Families brought their favorite dishes and laughter filled the air. Children played games while adults shared their stories, and for the first time in a long while, we felt a sense of unity. The picnic wasn't just about food. It was about healing and coming together as a community. Taking collective action. With our newfound unity, we decided to approach the HOA with a list of reasonable changes we wanted to see implemented. We gathered signatures from residents who supported our cause, creating a powerful petition. Armed with our collective strength, we scheduled a meeting with the HOA board. During the meeting, we presented our concerns and proposed changes to the HOA's policies. We emphasized the importance of fairness and transparency, arguing that the community should be a welcoming place for all. The HOA board was taken aback by our collective resolve. They realized they could no longer operate in secrecy and fear. After several discussions and negotiations, we reached a compromise. The HOA agreed to revise some of their rules and adopt a more inclusive approach. It was a long and challenging journey, but witnessing our voices make a difference was worth every effort. The feeling of empowerment was palpable. We had come together as a community to effect change. A new chapter. With the HOA's policies changing, I felt a renewed sense of hope for my community. I had not only fought for my rights, but had also inspired my neighbors to join the cause. My cabin, once a source of conflict, had become a hub for community gatherings and celebrations. Looking back on this journey, I realized that standing up for what is right can lead to incredible victories, not just for oneself, but for the entire community. My cabin will always be my sanctuary, a place where I can breathe freely and embrace the beauty of life. In the end, I learned that the fight for freedom and justice is ongoing. When we come together, we can create meaningful change. My experience taught me that resilience, courage, and community can overcome even the toughest challenges. And as I gaze out over the lake, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for my cabin, for my neighbors, and for the beautiful journey we all share. Reflections on the journey. As seasons changed and years passed, my connection with the cabin deepened. I invested time in making it a true reflection of my personality. I painted the walls a warm, inviting color and decorated the interior with photographs and mementos from my adventures. Each piece told a story, reminding me of the battles fought and the friendships forged.